Neighborhood Realty Group. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the offer you are making on a home. If you're watching this video, you've obviously decided to use myself or one of the in-house realtors to purchase a residential property. I just wanted to make sure that in case you were getting an authentisign or some other electronic form to sign, you understood what you were signing when you made this offer. So the first document I want to talk about is the disclosure of brokerage service. And what that does is that explains our duties in the state of Oklahoma. We promise to be fair to both parties, keep you informed. You'll see up here, obviously, this is going to be a sales agreement. Everything should be done in writing. Occasionally, you'll have some verbal offers go back and forth, but at the end of the day, most things will be in writing. If we're going to provide fewer services to one party or the other, we will let you know. And in the state of Oklahoma, we are allowed to offer services to both parties. We can represent the buyer and the seller. The next form you may see from us will be the actual contract itself, what you would call a contract, what we call the contract of sale of real estate for a residential sale. It's going to outline the terms. Are you using an FHA loan, a VA loan? Is it a conventional loan? Is it cash? There's a lot of ways that could go. So the address for the property will be here. If we're representing both parties, you'll see that. Now, there's going to be different forms for you to sign that the seller has already filled out, whether those are buyer disclosures or buyer exemption forms. If the home was built before 1978, there is going to be a lead-based paint form telling you whether or not they have knowledge of lead-based paint. You're also going to get a pamphlet explaining the dangers of lead-based paint to you. Be sure to go through those very carefully because this is where the seller has given you the opportunity to know everything they know. And it may not be advertised, but it will be on those forms if it's to their knowledge. And we will go through those forms next, just a blank one to kind of get an idea. So you're either going to receive that residential property agreement or you're going to have an exemption, and this deals with the lead-based form we just talked about. Everybody's names, whether you are a private individual, an LLC, it will all be laid out right here, buyer and seller. And obviously you will be signing the buyer's side and then we'll be presenting it to the seller. So this is where we decide, are you conventional, FHA, VA, USDA? Hopefully you've gotten pre-approved before we got to this step. I doubt we're writing this if you haven't. And this just kind of lays out what kind of loan you're using. So if that loan doesn't work out, we can get your earnest money back in most cases. So this is also if you are trying to sell your home and it's under contract or not under contract, and this offer is contingent upon that. But that is another video for another day. Please call me if you have questions about that, if you are in that situation. So the legal description shall be here. We will have to indicate whether or not it's surface rights and surface rights only. 99% of people do not own the mineral rights in Oklahoma, and in city lots, it's pretty non-applicable. So next we will see the price you are offering right here, the purchase price. That is what you have offered to purchase this home for. And the earnest money that has to be deposited into the trust account, generally that's at the closing company. If you have opted to use our in-house closing company, I have another form we'll go through in a little while that talks about that there is some dual ownership. That money sits in this trust account until this closes, and then it comes off the price of the house or the closing cost, whichever it goes towards. Each deal is a little different. So the earnest money is typically 1% of the purchase price. So if this is a $200,000 house, you're going to put up $2,000 in earnest. Doesn't mean the money is gone forever. If for whatever reason this home doesn't pass inspections, we have appraisal problems, you will get that money back. But if you just, I don't want to buy the house anymore, they do have the right to seek your earnest money. So it is always important to negotiate that earnest money well. Closing, funding, and possession. That is the day we're going to close. The day you will own the home is the closing day. By then we'll have been through inspections, appraisals, all of your finances will be complete and done. The lender will bring the money to closing, and you will bring whatever difference down payment that you may owe towards closing costs, and we'll get you those keys and get you in your new house. Always check with your lender on final numbers. These are accessories, equipment, and systems. So there are things they cannot just go and remove from this home once you make an offer. Obviously, fixtures are going to be attached mirrors, attached ceiling fans. You know, common sense kind of comes in here. Window units are detachable, things like that. If there's anything specific you want at this property that is not attached, you need to let your realtor know. That way I can put it right here in Part A in the additional inclusions. Maybe there's an old shed out back and you don't want it there anymore. Part B, let's get it excluded now so it doesn't become a problem later. Time periods in the contract, that is the time reference date. I like the time reference to commence on the date all parties sign, the buyer and seller and all the agents have signed. That is the day your inspections start. The third day after time reference day, we get a inspection period. This does not apply to your appraiser. Your lender will send the appraiser separately, but we have got to get through inspections. And I will give you a list of several home inspectors that I enjoy working with, as well as termite. If you have a loan in Oklahoma, you are required to have a clear termite report. If termites are found, we can ask the sellers to fix those. Sometimes some people ask ahead of time, some people ask after. It happens a lot more than you think in Oklahoma. We do have termites here. So what we'll do is we'll give you that list. Please pick a home inspector and coordinate with them. Some will let you pay at closing. Some will want paid upon work. 99% of them want paid upon the work. A home inspection can be anywhere from $350 to $550 depending on the size of the home, and termite is typically $125 to $175. They are not requiring you to get a home inspection. I would never buy a home without a home inspection. Please get one. At the end of that time, we will have a period, and I usually ask for 12 days right here on Part A. At the end of that time, if you have not turned in what we are going to call a treatment, repair, and request form to ask for repairs, you cannot ask for repairs anymore. You're stuck with a home as it is unless it's something the appraiser decides won't pass, which is not very often compared to a home inspector. We've got to get those done in a timely manner. I will coordinate them, but you are required to set it up and pay for your home inspections. So once the home inspector comes back, he gives you a big report. They can be as long as 80 pages. Please don't be overwhelmed. They just do a very thorough job. They're in the attic, they're in the cellar, they're everywhere. So really give that a good look through. We'll be glad to go through it with you. We are not home inspectors. If you have in-depth questions about if something is a danger or not, please speak to that home inspector. So once we have a list of things we're going to ask for, we're going to make that treatment, repair, and replacement form. And once we present it, we typically have 7 days to negotiate on it. We may be asking for them to fix things as basic as a few outlets or something as serious as the foundation needs piers put in it. I had one this week, $3,600 in pier work. Seller is having it corrected because he can no longer sell it without disclosing that. He had no knowledge of it prior, now he does. So those are all things we negotiate, but that is what this part of the offer deals with. So square footage is not guaranteed in Oklahoma, is generally not very far off, and the appraiser will be measuring the square footage to make sure it is accurate. Treatments, repair, and replacement, that is that TRR form I've referred to a few times where we have the 7 days to present it and ask for any repairs at that time. They are allowed to say no. If they do not want to do those repairs, you have the choice to end the contract and collect your earnest money back. After you sign this agreement, you can no longer just say, hey, I just changed my mind. I don't want to buy this house anymore. There are consequences. They can keep your earnest. They can go as far as trying to push you for performance of contract to buy the house. Generally, if you lose your loan for some reason, you will get that money back, and that is in the loan forms. But as far as cash deals go, and sometimes even loans, they can pursue you for performance. This goes back over the final walk through the treatments and repairs. Say that they said, yes, we are going to fix these things for you, no problem. And we get to that point, we need to gather all the receipts for those repairs. If they're small repairs they made themselves, maybe you just wanted some painting done on some cracked paint, something basic like that. We get the right to do a final walkthrough prior to closing. If you do not exercise your right to a final walkthrough, once you sign those closing documents, that becomes your home and you accept that home in the shape it is in. Do your final walkthrough. Tell your realtor, I want to go on my final walkthrough. Call me if you feel like you're not getting your final walkthrough, please. After your final walkthrough, everything's great. You understand that there is a risk of loss. If you are buying this with cash and you did not go out and put insurance on this house and you buy it at noon and it burns down at 1 o'clock, the seller is no longer liable. Lenders will require you have your insurance in place ahead of time, but if it is cash, please take care of your insurance. That is not something your realtor does. That is a you. You go get your insurance and secure your home, please. Acceptance of property. Again, upon title or transfer possession of the property shall be deemed you have accepted it in that condition that day you are taking that property how it is. There is no going back. And things do come up from time to time that a seller didn't even know about. An old leak, something under the house that no one caught. Things happen. So please, good home inspectors are key. In the meantime, you've made the offer. Everyone's accepted. We're getting through inspections. Anything your lender is asking you for, please be sending it to your lender as fast as you can. That is what slows down closing. If you do not meet your closing date, the seller is not obligated to extend with you. It happens from time to time, but they are not obligated. Please stay on top of what your lender is asking you to do. And it can be a lot, but please do it. You are going to get a surface rights only abstract. That means a title attorney has gone and read and made sure there are no clouds, also known as defects. There is clear ownership on that title to transfer over to you. If you are not wanting that, you are basically taking the title with any problems. You accept all legalities and tax liens with it. Please get a title opinion. You're also going to want to get title insurance. So if there are problems later down the road, it is the title insurance company, not yours. When it comes to land, obviously you are going to need a big survey. We're dealing with this right here in Part C. But for the most part, residential agreements cover residential properties, city lots, etc. So we are going to look into getting what's called a mortgage inspection report, which is basically a survey, but they're not getting out and surveying. The mortgage inspector is going to come out and make sure that those lot lines and that house is where it say it is, but it's not a full pin stake survey. It's not 100%. For the most part, older homes, it's already been done. And if you are buying with cash and you elect not to have a land or boundary survey, that is your choice, obviously. The title examiner, attorney will be going over the title evidence at this time, letting the closing agent know it's clear. There's lots of parties in this. If there is a problem, the seller is required to correct it. If it's in the title opinion, they have so many days to do that. We can delay closing for a while they try to. There's a lot of different parts that go into that. That's a different part. Taxes, assessments, and prorations. Say that house is $1,000 a year on taxes, and the seller will owe from January 1 to the day of sale. Buyer will owe from the day of sale to the day of closing. Your realtor should give you an estimate of what taxes will be. There are also great tools on the assessor's website because they will go up as the price changes. And obviously the price will be higher than what the seller bought it for 10, 15, 20 years ago, 5 years ago. It's different. Also, all closing costs will be due at closing. Please get final numbers from your lender. What we are giving you is the standard closing cost. I have no way to know if later your lender doesn't like your credit score at some point and he wants you to buy down points. He wants you to put down a bigger down payment. I'm not aware of that. You have to stay on top of your lender for final and exact numbers. If you decide to ask for what is called a residential service agreement, you more often hear it called a home warranty. If you would like to purchase a home warranty, this is where we deal with that. You can ask the seller to pay for some of it, but it's just like any other negotiation. They can say, no, buy your own warranty. I don't want to do that. But this is your option to get one. Additional provisions. We've got something funny going in here. You've asked for some closing costs. You've asked for something to be corrected ahead of time that you saw. That's where we're going to do this. And then we're going to talk about mediation. If everybody gets mad at each other, I've only had it happen once in many, many years. Everyone gets mad. It does not go directly to court. It goes to a mediator. And there's the authority of the Oklahoma Real Estate Commission. They oversee those mediations. You do have the right to hire an attorney to help you through those mediations and anything else you might need. Please note you cannot hire any of our in-house attorneys. Breach of failure to close. If for whatever reason you decide that I just don't want this house anymore, this is the consequences for breaching. They're right here. They can sue you for up to 5%, liquidated damages, all kinds of things. Please read those paragraphs really well. Same on your side. If the seller just decides, I don't want to sell this to you more, you also have rights. So then we're going to move into incurred expenses. Buyer and seller agreed that expenses incurred on their behalf shall be paid by the party incurring expenses. So if you pay for a home inspector, an appraiser, maybe you decide to have a foundation guy come look, an electrician, anything you incur an expense on is your expense, not the seller's. Even though it's their home, you're doing your research. That is your money. Same for them. If they do a whole bunch of repairs for your loan and it doesn't work out, that is their expense, not yours. Release of earnest money. So you put up your earnest money. Everything went great for a while and then it busted at TRR. They didn't want to do a repair you wanted, or you didn't like something during that inspection period that you found. Your earnest money will sit in the trust account until everybody has signed the release of contract and disbursement of earnest money, as well as the notice. And those are very basic forms. They're easy to go through. If you have questions about them, call me. Hopefully we're not having that happen. Hopefully you're moving into your new house. The next thing is the delivery and acceptance of counteroffers. So we've gone back a few times. We can do an offer, a seller's counteroffer, and a buyer's counter to the seller's counter. It gets complicated, right? What we do is at that point we have to stop and write a new one, but those will be in writing. We will go back and forth in writing, and all final will be in writing, and they will have cost to buyers attached to them so you understand the fees and what you are offering. Non-foreign sellers, that's pretty self-explanatory. Read it. It's got to do with foreign nationals, etc. Termination of offer. We don't just write offers and let them sit out in space for months and years and then somebody come back and contract you. Typically, I do 24 hours unless we are in a multiple offer situation, then it may be less. If every situation is a bit different, but typically I aim for the next day. I want an answer. So that will be right here on number 20. If I write an offer for you, it will terminate tomorrow at 5 p.m. because if you can't tell us by 5 p.m. tomorrow, we need an answer. We're trying to find a house here. So everybody is going to sign that. And if they rejected your offer, you made it really low, they don't like it, they don't have to counter you. They can just reject it and go to the next one. So that is right here as well. But hopefully they loved your offer. You listened to me and we wrote a great one. It's all going to be in here. So then going over to the cost to buyer, talking about those things you really need to be talking to your lender about because it is so an estimate that you're getting from us. We are going to have the property address, the sales price, the closing date, about what you're financing, what type of loans you use. If you're a seller, typically you don't owe us any commission. The seller is paying that. Every deal is different, but that's pretty typical. You won't. Do you have a loan origination fee from your lender? That's typically 1%. Loan discount points. You're buying a better rate. If no one's explained that to you, please give me a call or talk more in depth to your lender. You're going to have to pay for an appraisal fee, a credit report, an inspection fee, a shipping fee, an underwriting fee. Those are lender fees, flood certificates. Go through that. Call me, call your lender, get those fees. How much is insurance going to cost you every year? Do you have to pay 3 months ahead of time, a year ahead of time? How are they going to hold that in escrow and in earnest? How is your lender doing that? And then over here, there will be a settlement fee, the abstracting fee to read the abstract, title exams, lender's coverage, owner's coverage, all of that. We will need to go through this. You understand that you'll be getting a wood inspection, which is that termite we talked about, the fixtures, and you know, inspectors can say, I don't like the structure of this. It looks bad, but I'm not a structural engineer. Call one of those guys. Call a foundation guy. There are all kinds of inspections that can come up in that period of time. So those fees go right there. We'll total those up. If they're paying anything for you, it'll go in here. And then we'll know about what you're bringing to closing. And a few days prior to closing, you will get what's called the truth in lending laws kick in. And your lender has to tell you 3 days before closing exactly how much money you have to bring to the table. It is a federal law. So then the other forms are going to be talking about the kind of loan you have. So let's just say you have an FHA loan. That FHA form is also going to be included. And right here is the address. We're going to talk about this contract is contingent upon the buyer qualifying for an FHA insured loan in the amount of whatever you're buying a house for, plus mortgage insurance premiums. You have to qualify for that. You have 10 days to make this loan. You have to stay on top of it. But if like right at the very end, for whatever reason, the lender decides they're not going to loan to you, you will get your earnest money back. It's in here, but you have to be making your loan by then. Most of the time, you're going to be way past this period. You're going to have a pre-approval letter because they're probably not going to take your offer without one. Please get pre-approved. You can give notice that the terms are unacceptable, the TRR. This is where we are going to start asking for closing costs if we need them. They can't exceed a certain amount. The home has to appraise. All of that is in here. And by the way, I cannot talk to the appraiser. I do not assign the appraiser. The lender does right here. Seller agrees to pay on behalf of buyer loan discount points, FHA closing costs, which include prepaids, escrows, origination fees, allowables. There's non-allowables. That all goes right here. So it's almost like borrowing your closing cost. And we can get into that. If you have questions, just give me a call. And if there's additional provisions, some extra stuff we're asking for, we're going to put it right here, just like we did in the contract. But there is a USDA form of this, a 180 form Native American, a VA, a conventional, I believe I said USDA, but there's all types of different loans and they all have their own specific documentation. The next one is you're going to see, for your protection, get a home inspection. You will sign this. I will tell you, get a home inspection. I will tell you, do not buy a house without a home inspection. And just in case you're not listening, I'm going to have you sign. The government says I have to. I told you to get a home inspection. And let's see. So if this house is older than 1978, like we talked about, you're going to go over that lead-based form. And you're also going to get this pamphlet from us. I'm probably just going to email it to you because it's about 30 pages long. It talks about protect your family from lead in your home and the dangers of lead. So you'll get one of these. Please go through that, read it. And then all the way down here, this is what the treatment, repair, and replacement form looks like if we were going to go ahead and ask for some repairs. It's right here. The address, if they found termites, treatment's required or treatment's not required, and I will be sending that clear termite report to your lender and the closing agent. This is where we would ask for repairs based upon that home inspection I keep talking about. And you would sign it, you'd submit it by the buyer, we'd send it to them, and they'd have 7 days to get estimates and decide what they wanted to repair and not repair, and these do get negotiated on sometimes. And that, and disclosures. There may not be property disclosures to go through. If this person inherited this house, never lived in this house, they may not know, but that's what a good home inspector is for. When you sign your offer, you are also going to sign the property condition disclosures. These will be uploaded, they'll be part of our offer. So location of the property, whether or not they live there, and they're going to answer some pretty basic things and some in-depth things on this form. Is there a sprinkler system? Is it working, not working? They don't know, or is it not included? The mechanicals of the home really come in here. You're going to be able to look at these, and this is the thing I'm talking about. Read these well. Your realtor will read them as well too, but what if you're looking at this and you realize that it's a septic tank and it's not on public water like you thought? Do you still want to make an offer on that house? Pay attention to these disclosures. They're going to talk about how this is zoned. If it's in a floodplain, flood insurance can be expensive. Do they pay for flood insurance? Are there issues with the property? Do they have sewer backing up? Do they have maybe repairs that they got insurance to pay for, but they didn't do those repairs? How old is the roof? How many layers does the roof have? Because your insurance is going to come look at the roof too. But is there hail damage? Did they make repairs and not get the proper permits? That stuff is on here. And there's always going to be things that we call latent defects. Those are things that I can't see, you can't see, but maybe a home inspector is going to find, like a crack in a beam, or maybe there's old wood or a broken window sill. Those are things we're not going to see, but they are. And the seller may not even know about those things. But if they do, they are supposed to be on this form. Have they treated for termites in the past? That is also here. It's going to talk about anything hazardous. Has methamphetamine been cooked on this property? Just all the things that would not be great for your family. If there's a homeowners association, that will show up, the fees, the dues, private utilities. It's in here. Please read these. If you really want to know what living in this house is going to be like, most of it's going to be right here in this form. And then if you do decide to close with our in-house closing company, you will see this form. Let me move myself over. It is called the Affiliated Business Agreement and Disclosure Form. We are letting you know that we do have a business relationship with the closing company. We have some dual ownership in there. Our in-house attorneys do own that. We do like closing there, but you feel free to close wherever you would like. I do like to do it there though. And that is basically the offer, the process. I do not want you just to open this and click it and initial it and send it back to your realtor. Okay, what's next? Call us, ask what you're signing, get good explanations. Remember those key dates. I have 10 more days to do my home inspection. I have so much time to get this to my lender, because while we're basically keeping an eye on every piece of this transaction, the closer, the lender, the inspector, the appraiser, ourselves, the termite guy, the surveyor, there's so many pieces. Please keep your key dates for inspections as well as what your lender is asking you to do. And again, if you have any questions regarding this or anything else that you are engaged in our office, please call me anytime. I'm Amanda Bertelli, 405-224-4298. Thank you so much and make it a great day.